17. And we covered Daniel chapter number 1 and 2 in the previous episodes. And if you just want to go and check those episodes, Daniel chapter number 1 and 2. But today, Daniel chapter number 3, 1 through 17, without further delay, it is saying that King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold. First of all, thank you very much for joining this beautiful Sunday morning from Dallas, Texas. Daniel chapter 3, verse 1 through 17. If you want to open your Bibles, King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, 60 cubic feet. So what I'm just going to do, I will just touch base on the very important things in Daniel 3, 1 through 17, because there's a lot of things going on in 3, 1 through 17. 3 chapter number 3 verse 1 is saying the image of gold, and that's very important to understand exactly what's going on. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the prince of Babylon. If you see that a lot of scholars, they believe that that gold was actually looted from Israel. So actually, when Jerusalem it fell, the temple, the gold was looted from the temple, and that gold was brought to Babylon, and in Babylon that gold was that image of gold was put up. Why? Because if you see, there's also a prophecy in Ezekiel, and that's why the scholars they believe that prophecy was fulfilled. And Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 19, if you see, there's a prophecy saying they will throw their silver into the streets, and their gold will be treated as thing unclean. Their silver and gold will not be able to deliver them in the day of Lord's wrath. It will not satisfy their hunger or fill their stomachs, because people, they were putting their trust on the gold. They were putting their trust on the worthless things instead of God. And that's exactly what happened when Nebuchadnezzar he went to Israel, and he brought those Israelites back to Babylon. And so that's a prophetic thing, and this prophecy is reflecting what I just recited, that they will make the golden idol, and that gold was worthless. And it is the same thing with our lives. Sometimes we just keep running after those different things in our life, and we do not even know that all these things, they are not, yes, they can good for my body. And I'm not saying that we should not go and struggle out, and we should not go out and we just go to the next level of our life, and we should not work hard. That's beyond what I'm just saying. What I'm just saying is this, that's, yeah, we need to do all this, but we should not make the priority, just like Nebuchadnezzar, he made priority of gold. We should not make that priority, and we should put God first. And if we put God first, then gold and everything else comes along with that. So that is very important to realize that exactly what's going on. Now, other thing is this, then if you go to Daniel chapter number 3, verse 2 to 6, and I'm going to touch base upon that. And it's saying in Daniel chapter 2, actually, if you see the whole thing, Daniel 3, 2 to 6, it is saying that Nebuchadnezzar wanted to make one religion and try to put everyone. And when he asked that Daniel and his friends, they will come and they will bow down in front of that idol, that golden idol. So exactly what they are saying, actually. And if you see, I just want to read it a little bit so you understand exactly where I'm going with this. Then the herald loudly proclaimed, nations and people of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. So what he is asking, actually, he has brought all the nations and all the people from different languages, and he brought them in Babylon, and he wanted them to bow down in front of that golden statue. And if you really understand this, he's asking Daniel and his friends to bow down in front of the golden statue also. So actually, Daniel and his friends, in a sense, they were representing Israel, and Israel, in a sense, he was asking the whole Israel to bow down in front of the golden idol. And if you understand, if you know, in Daniel chapter number 1, verse Daniel chapter number 1 and Daniel chapter number 2, what I covered, it was very beautiful. What I told, if you just want to go and revisit it, actually Daniel, he named Daniel Belshazzar, and Bel, I told you, is a Babylonian god. And what Nebuchadnezzar, he was really entrusted in the line of Judah, and Daniel is from the line of Judah, and he wanted to name him Belshazzar. And Bel, I told you in the previous study that Bel is the god of Babylon, and the god of Babylon with the moon on his head. And I told you that the Hindu god Shiva has a moon on his head. All these gods, the idol worshippers, they're whoever has the moon in the symbol of their religion actually belongs to the god of Bel. And we see in the Bel, this is a god of Canaanites and the god of Babylon. So that's in the study of Daniel chapter number 1, verse 1 to 2. But I'm not going to go, but what he's saying, he's brought all the nations, and all the nations he wanted, Nebuchadnezzar wanted all the nations to bow down in front of the gold. And I tell you, this is a prophecy that at the end there will be one religion, and that's exactly what Nebuchadnezzar he was after. He wanted to have that one religion which is derived from the moon god, and that moon god was his god, and that's why he named Daniel Belshazzar, Bel, which is the moon god. And if you see 2 Corinthians chapter number 5, verse 20, it says, so me and you, we represent Christ. Wherever we go, we represent Christ, and whenever we go out there, so the similar way, Daniel and his friends, they were representing Israel. So me and you, every place we go, we represent Christ, and people, they know us from Christ. Whenever you say I am Christian, Christian means the follower of Christ. You know this. The 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20, I just want to just touch base upon that. It's saying we are therefore Christ ambassadors. Just like Daniel and his friends, they were ambassador of Israel. Me and you this morning, we are ambassadors of Christ. As though God were making his appeal through us, we implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. So we have to be reconciled to we are wherever we go, we are the ambassador of Christ, and his message is written on our hearts wherever we go and whatever we do. And this is very important this Sunday morning, to understand exactly where I'm going with this. I'm just going to read you 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2. You yourself are our letter. You yourself over, just like the Daniel and his friends, they were letters, and that letter and those ambassadors from Israel, Nebuchadnezzar, he wanted to bow down in front of gold. Me and you, whenever we do something, and I'm talking about the chosen people of Christ, whenever we do something, we become the ambassadors, and people, when they see us, and they say, oh. And I'm just going to quote this. Most of the time, people, they say, they talk Christ is good, but the followers of Christ, they are not good. You have heard this kind of reasoning before, and that is very important wherever we go. So we are the people. So we just think, it's not like a part-time thing, Christianity. But Christianity is a full-time thing, and I know that we all fall. Whatever I want to do, it doesn't happen. What I do not want to do, it happens from me. But the thing is this, I just keep repenting and keep moving forward. That's very important thing. No one is perfect, because that's why we need Christ. But anyway, so his message is written on our heart. You yourself are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. You show that you are a letter from Christ. Me, and just like Daniel, he was the letter from God. Me and you, we are letter from God as well. And if you see in this world, I know in this world, Jesus said we have many troubles, my brothers and sisters, and we will. And I don't, I'm not going to say it lightly. We all do face those troubles. You know, John 16:33, it says, I have told you these things so that in me you have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome it. My brother and sister, when you're walking this path, and Daniel and his friends, they did not have a good time. I tell you, when they were walking that path, they had many troubles, but it's just Christ, helped them overcome all that. And we see when they were thrown in the fiery furnace, and then there was the fourth man whose image was the Son of a Man, and that was Christ. So that's exactly what I'm just trying to bring it to, that yes, in this world we will have many troubles, but Christ is with us in those troubles. We just sometimes, instead of focusing on those troubles, we just keep focus on Christ and say, Christ, you are there. You are my focus. And I tell you, that changes the things. And that's exactly when Daniel and his friend, Daniel chapter number 3, verse 1 through 17, what happened with them when they were thrown in the fiery furnace. And that's exactly what happens with us also. We are thrown in fiery furnace every day from the people that do not believe in God. Okay, I'm just going to say Matthew chapter number 5, verse 16. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. My brother and sister, exactly the way Daniel, he let his light shine in front of others and glorified and he glorified the name of Yahweh, the one and true God. That's exactly me and you, we have to do. And I tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy, and that's a perception. That's what I'm just going to tell you. It's most of the time it's a perception. It's not easy. Why? Because when I see myself, then I say it's not easy. But when I just keep my eyes on the Lord, I say it's easy. It's all the perception of the mind. And I'm just going to, I'm starting a new series also, the perception of the mind also. We will discuss every Wednesday evening. We will talk about how to set up your mind to renew your mind in Christ and to overcome all kind of these burdens and troubles. That's not what we're talking about today. Okay, so you become the light in the world. Now Daniel chapter number 3, verse 8 to 12, they brought accusation against God's faithful servants. And we see Daniel 3, 8 through 12. At this time, some astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, may the king live. Your majesty has issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, harp, and they bow down. But Daniel and his friends, they did not bow down. And the king had a threat against them that they will throw them in the fiery furnace. And I'm just going to tell you, this is a very beautiful thing, what you're just going to learn from me this morning. Now, if you see, I just want to read this and what Nebuchadnezzar is telling Daniel and his friends. And today, I'm just going to tell you why this is so important. And it's saying, but if you do not worship it, that's what Nebuchadnezzar is telling Daniel and his friends, you will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. Then what God, listen to this, what he's saying. He's saying, what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? In a sense, Nebuchadnezzar is correct by saying it. Why? Because the man is on his free will. Okay, so listen this very carefully, what I'm just going to tell you this morning. So there are three elements God has control on. Number one, our sustenance. God has a full control over the sustenance. Number two, the weather, elements of the weather, just like Jesus, he walked on water and he rebuked the storm. So, and if you see sustenance, our food and everything, what we eat, sustenance, weather, and life and death. These are the three things God has fully control over. Now, what God, when he created the man, he created a man under the free will. So when God created the man under the free will, and that's what Nebuchadnezzar is saying, listen to this, what he's saying, then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand. Like God can rescue person from other person's hand, but that person has a free will, and that free will make us the sinner or not sinner. Okay, I want you to, outcome you cannot change. Outcome is in the hands of God. That's true. But the free will is in your hand. And that free will make up me a sinner or not sinner. And that when he's saying that, he said that, he did not say that God cannot rescue you from a hand. He said what God can rescue you. What he's saying is this, that person has a free will, and that free will, you can use your free will to do whatever you want to do, but you cannot change the outcome. It is my choice. If I have a gun, if somebody has a gun in their hand, it is their choice if they will just like discharge that gun, discharge that bullet or not, upon someone else. But they cannot kill that person. The life and death is in the hands of God. The free will is in your hand. And now, if you see, there are a lot of biblical examples that the outcome in the hand of God. People, they used their free will, and they became, under their free will, they became the sinner, but the outcome they could not change. What do I mean by this? I mean, if you take the example of Joseph and his brothers, they could not change the outcome. The outcome was in God's hand, but they did what was abomination to God. They have committed the sin. Joseph and his brother, when they threw him in the cistern, So you remember, I do not have this morning, if you just want to, morning time to go through it. If you see Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, you intended to harm me. See what Joseph is telling his brothers, that you cannot change the outcome. You can use your free will, and that free will, if it's not purely in the Lord, then we become sinners. And that's what Joseph is telling to his brother. He said, Genesis chapter number 50, verse 20, saying, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So similar way, Nebuchadnezzar, he threw Daniel in the furnace. That he used his free will to do it. But he could not change the outcome. And the outcome was exactly different. So I know people, they're out there, they try to harm people, especially when they're walking in the path of righteousness, but they cannot change the outcome, because outcome is in the hands of God. And if you see the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, we see the outcome is in God's hand. They try to do what? They try to kill, Satan tried to kill Jesus, but that changed, that cross changed into saving many lives, and that cross has changed your life and my life. If you see the crucifixion, I'm just going to read Acts chapter number 2, verse 23 to 20. This man was handed over to you by God's deliberate plan and foreknowledge, and you with the help of wicked men. The wicked men, they use their free will to harm people. But it's written in Acts chapter 2, 23 through 24, too, I'm reading. It's saying, put him to death by nailing him to the cross, but God raised him from the dead, freeing him from the agony of death, because it was impossible for death to keep its hold on him. Since the death could not keep hold on your Savior, death could not keep hold on you and me as well. Isn't that beautiful? And death could not even touch Daniel and his friend there. And Romans chapter number 8, and I'm just going to conclude from here, and we're going to continue the study of Daniel, a book of Daniel. Romans 8:28 is saying, whatever purpose God has called me, it will be fulfilled in us. My brother and sister, I just want to ask you this morning, what God has called you for? Is God has called you for some purpose? Romans 8:28 is saying, whatever purpose God has called. And we know that in all things God works. And we know in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Have you called? Just like Daniel in chapter number 3, verse 1 to 80, he was called according to his purpose. Me and you, are we called according to his purpose? If we are called according to his purpose, then my life, it becomes the shining beacon in front of the. And I know sometimes just like I said, we walk through the difficult paths, but Jesus is with you. And I want you to take your heart to have a hold of this thought, have a hold of this peace, that no one can harm you, because the outcome is in God's hand. And God bless you all. and may God be with you. God bless you.